It's Rut and River.
Yes.
Correct.
R-U-T.
I rest my beard hair on it.
And then you know you're there.
Like a nice, gentle little pillow for my beard.
Right.
And then I'm all up in it.
Oh.
I'm like Kobe beef for sharks.
Can I ask you, what made you guys call me up about, well, this?
That's what tickles our fancy.
Exactly.
Okay.
Thought the Rocky Mountains would be rockier.
John Denver is not accurate.
A guy like you, who has absolutely no clue, and I can hear it in your voice, that, I mean, you're a blank canvas. I mean, I can just start with you like from scratch.
You're going to tell me, a grown man, you're telling me what lure to use and how to fish?
You guys didn't snap your whopper plopper off either, though.
Sorry,
I blew up over there. And we are back. You are listening to the Rut and River Pursuit podcast, your home of all things epic in the outdoors. We are sitting around the Sonic campfire. I love that. I can never get enough of that.
No, it's great.
Who do I got with me tonight?
This is Dave.
I'm Kyle.
I'm Steve.
I'm Will.
And I'm Ryan. Gentlemen,
Hey, Ryan.
Did I hear Kyle in there?
You did.
Kyle,
Hey,
what's
Kyle.
up, buddy?
Not much.
Guys, here's the thing.
What's the thing, bud? Give it to us.
There's only 5 of us here tonight,
Yeah.
and I feel like we need to man it up a little bit.
Get tough.
So I've got something for you guys, because we're going to toughen up just a little bit now that you said that, Will.
I want you to.
Is it a shake weight?
No. Our guest
Do you
tonight.
remember the bow thing?
You guys are all in so much
Thigh
trouble when you hear
master.
what I'm about to say.
Thigh Master's
So much
Deke's
trouble. You know,
fighting name.
Here's the thing. You guys all get awful lippy around this table.
Yeah,
but I
yeah.
got a feeling tonight, after I tell you what I'm about to say, you guys might button it up just a little bit.
Get on with it.
All right.
Seriously.
So on the line with us right now, if I'm not mistaken, we have Jim Miller of the UFC on the line.
Uh-oh.
Hey,
Yeah, I'm
Jim.
here. How you guys doing?
Good, buddy.
Good, man.
So, Jim, I want to really make sure these boys around the table are intimidated. Can you give us a quick rundown of your UFC history?
Yeah,
I need
That's not an
abridged
easy
version.
thing to do.
No, first dude,
I forget,
30
man.
fights.
Most of it. Yeah, I can't imagine.
Yeah, I've got 31 UFC fights, the most in UFC history. Currently got I think a 1-fight lead on a couple guys. I think Cerrone's got 30 now. But yeah, I've fought kind of a who's who
Sure have.
since 2008 when I signed with the UFC, and you know, it's been some ups and downs, but been a lot of good fights, and you know, hope to have a couple more.
That's a lot of fights in 10, 11 years.
You're telling me, dude.
I don't know how. I don't know how you do. Some guys take 6-8 months to train for one fight, and if you do the math, it's not my strong suit. But you're
Clearly.
basically fighting every, 4 months, 3 times a year, something like that.
Yeah, roughly. And even for me personally, that feels like it's a little bit too much time off sometimes. Like I mean, in the first year that I was training, fighting rather, I had 6 fights in 366 days, basically. It's like,
Who does that? That's insane.
Jim Miller.
Wow.
It was a different time. It was definitely a different time. Back in like early 2000s, that was 2005, I started fighting.
Yeah.
So it was like, I was training and I walked around less than 10 pounds over 155. And there was no difference between having a fight and not having a fight. I was training the same way because from day one, I was training to fight the best guys in the world. It wasn't like, hey, I want to do an 8-week training camp to train some guy that works at friggin' Joe's Tire. I was training to fight BJ Penn from the day that I started training. And that was always the goal. So it was definitely different, back in those days. And I seem to do better when I kind of stay in it. Nowadays there's too many things that can pull me away from the gym. It's just between family and running the business and trying to find that next thing, and trying to develop other things. And if I don't have a fight, it's hard for me to train like I do, where it used to be really easy to do that. It's just, I work during the day, come home for a little bit, train, spend time with my, wife, and that was it. And, and then once I was a professional fighter, there's a difference between fighting professionally and being a professional fighter. Once I signed with the UFC, I became a professional fighter. I quit, quit banging nails for my dad, and that was my life. And, so that was awesome to really say. I mean, it was awesome to just be able to just do that all day and not have to worry about anything else. And, and still get to be done and to hang out with my wife and then we started a family, and now it's like, now we're outnumbered 4-2. And
oh man,
it's a freaking workout keeping up with the kids.
You can take them, man.
They have their good days, they have their bad days.
Yeah, I heard that.
So for people that don't know and haven't had the privilege of watching a Jim Miller fight, and I'm not just saying this because you're on the line, a Jim Miller fight to me is one of my favorite fights. It's bell to bell and it's all out. So, I mean, and you've won every way possible. You've knocked people out. You've submitted a ton of people. You've gone the distance a ton of times. And that says a lot. Your character, you don't stop. And
thank you.
You go to the very, very end. And those fights, those best fights, the fight of the nights and all those things that you've garnered over the years come from just that heart and not stopping. So I needed to get that out there, that we're not just talking to, some, like you said, some Joe Smo guy wants to try and fight. This is Jim Miller, I don't know how to say it any other way.
The Jim Miller.
So, Jim, how does that progression from being that regular guy that fights to signing a contract with the UFC? Like, how do you get there? What's it take to have that moment where you're actually inking a contract with Dana White?
It takes a lot of luck, honestly. I signed back in 2008. Even at that time, there's just so many fighters out there, and just a limited number of opportunities to fight at this level. Like I said, I was training constantly and prepared to fight any day of the week. It didn't matter. I took plenty of fights on a week notice because I was always prepared. And that's what I tell the young guys that I train with now. It's like, if you feel like you're ready and you feel like you can do it and you can make weight, then just do it. Because the experience is going to be, that's the big thing, really, when it comes down to it. Like, having experience is a huge, huge thing in the sport. So, for me, it was just training and trying to get into the biggest fights that I could get into and fighting the best guys that I could fight. And if an opportunity popped up to fight somebody on a week or two, I did that quite a few times. And, the biggest thing for me was I had an opportunity to sign with the UFC a couple months prior to actually when I actually was able to sign.
Yeah.
And then actually, it ended up getting kind of snuffed out by the IFL, who, long of the short, we signed a contract with them for one thing and they ended up doing another thing. So we were like, all right, we're out of our contract, and, got the opportunity with the UFC, and then the IFL came saying, nope. So there was like, well, you're right, but we'll take you to court for you to prove you're right. So, so I ended up fighting for the IFL once. And the big thing was that when I did sign, my first UFC contract, I actually got to sign it with my brother there at my side, signing his.
That's cool.
And that was, it was unexpected. Like, I knew that we would both get there. I knew that we would both have the opportunity to fight in the UFC, from the day that we started training. just didn't know, who would get it first and this and that, like we fought on the same card quite a few times, and we fought, by ourselves on a couple cards, and, in the local circuits and stuff. And like I said, I knew it would come. I just didn't know who would get the opportunity first. And to be able to do that, sitting next to him was probably one of the most special things in my career, to be honest. It was,
that's cool.
We shared a lot, along this road, and that's something that, maybe the Nogueiras did the same thing, like maybe I'm pretty sure that they were both with Pride when the UFC bought up Pride. So maybe they had that opportunity, but, no other set of brothers, has had that opportunity.
Hey, speaking of your brother now, just in a crazy world, if you guys ever had the opportunity to fight each other,
oh man,
would you guys do
money?
For money, yeah, not backyard. I mean, like if for some reason they were able
not over
to
Christmas presents.
yeah, if they were able to arrange it, okay, I don't know what would have to happen. If I was able to happen,
paycheck, that's all it needs.
Okay, yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
A, who would you do it? And then B, who would win?
You didn't even hesitate.
We would totally fight. I mean, we talked about that a long time ago.
Yeah.
I mean, why not? We've sparred and rolled and spent so much time with one another on the mats and beat each other up so many times.
Right.
Why the hell wouldn't you do it to get paid?
Yeah, exactly. So now that part B, who would win?
I mean, a majority of the time he's probably going to win.
Okay.
Just because of size.
Yeah.
Size and strength. It definitely matters. But
I see what you're doing there. You're making him overconfident. That's good. That's smart.
But I've got my opportunities too, man. Like we always went back and forth. We always went back and forth in the grappling. We always went back and forth in the striking.
Yeah.
But when you put somebody that's heavier than you, on top of you, it adds up. So
yep, understandable.
I could definitely land shots on him. I could definitely catch him in submissions, and he could do the same thing to me. It's just he has a better chance to grind out a decision on me than I do on him. Because of size. And I mean, that'd
be still fun to watch though.
Over dinner at like Thanksgiving and stuff, I've said it a lot of times, like, I can't wait until we fight, because I'm going to make you have our mother in your corner. Like I want my mom to be coaching my brother to beat me, so that I can be like, yeah, well, your mom's a fat pig. and just give my own mom shit just for the fun of it.
That's great.
That's awesome.
You could have both of my parents, and I could call my dad names too in the lead up.
Oh, sounds like quite the fight.
So you run a gym in New Jersey, right?
Yep. We opened up in 2014. Been going well. I mean, it was not my plan to open up a place.
Yeah.
It got to the point where it was like we needed a place to train. Where we were training, there was drama and stuff, which happens almost everywhere. Do we just rent a garage and mad loud, and just get the same guys that we've been training with to come and train, or do you open up a place and try to start business?
So you're training like rocking stuff.
Yeah,
like cinder block barbells and
it would have been fun.
Are you training all aspects of MMA or wrestling or jiu-jitsu or boxing? Like what goes on there?
We the only thing that we really don't have is like a wrestling program. When it comes to adults, a vast majority of adults can't handle wrestling. It's too hard to teach, and it's too physically intensive. If you think about what wrestling is, you're standing in an athletic position the whole time, where jiu-jitsu is easy because you're either on your knees or you're laying on your back. It's like, it's not the most explosive thing, and we teach Muay Thai, and we teach boxing and stuff. There's nothing that compares to trying to like take somebody down or being taken down. So that's like really the one thing. And then when it comes to the kids, it's just there's a ton of wrestling schools around here. So we just focus on jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai and boxing, and then we have cardio kickboxing.
What's your background? As far
I grew
as
up wrestling.
You grew up wrestling. Yeah.
I grew up wrestling. From the time that I could walk. My dad, he wrestled a little bit, I think a year or two in high school, but my uncles, my mother's brothers were legit. My one uncle was a 3-time Jersey State champ, went 98-1, only lost in the finals his sophomore year.
98-1.
Yeah.
That's legit.
And
But it's
he went
New
out to
Jersey.
That's true. Exactly. It's New Jersey. And he was.
We're Pennsylvania boys, so I'm just picking.
Well, you know what, man? We're smaller, and we. Did you check the Olympic team last time we were out there? I think there were like six guys from New Jersey on the Olympic team.
No fooling.
Because they get to train with the Philly boys.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. So I was always on the wrestling mats, and it was kind of, it was just a different time. I mean, we played football and we played baseball too. And wrestling wasn't exactly a year round sport for us until, like high school. But, grew up wrestling, grew up watching my youngest uncle. He wrestled for Lehigh. So some of my first memories are of him watching him wrestle at Lehigh. Wow. But my other uncle Mike, the one that was a 3-time state champ, he was a 2-time national champ for Lehigh as well.
Wow.
So unfortunately, wrestling doesn't get passed on by blood.
No. I know exactly what you're saying.
Is that a natural transition from wrestling to jiu-jitsu, or is that kind of is that hard to make that switch?
I don't think it's necessarily a natural transition. I think that if you have an open mind and you want to learn jiu-jitsu, it is a much easier transition for people.
Yeah.
It's got some of those same fundamentals.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, controlling somebody's controlling somebody. It really is. Grappling is grappling is grappling. If you're in a sport that's controlling wrist control, controlling head and arm, manipulating somebody's body, it's really all the same. The goal might be different, where, obviously wrestling, you're trying to put somebody on their back, and jiu-jitsu, you're trying to isolate something. But in order to put somebody on your back, you have to isolate a part of somebody's body,
Sure.
throwing in a half, arm bars, all that stuff. So
how did you manage, like, I know for me, and this, I know it's not about me, but when you
want your own podcast, we
can
do your show.
For me, that transition would be, there is a no-fly zone, the no-go zone is your back. I don't know how easy that is for the wrestlers to get out of that. That is that's in your central nervous system.
Yeah, it is, but it's also it all depends on how good of a wrestler you really were. I mean, that's what it comes down to. Is like, I mean, Dan and I were good high school wrestlers. We had good records. I made it to states, placed 7th, 8th. Should have done better. He should have done better than he did. I wrestled at Virginia Tech for a year. I did okay. I had some good matches with some really good guys, and was, I was a 19-year-old boy wrestling men. Also in a weight class that I shouldn't have been wrestling at. But if you step on the jiu-jitsu mats to out wrestle somebody, you're going to start growth. But if you have that wrestling background and you know how to move yourself spatially, I mean, that's like the biggest thing. It's just knowing where your body is and knowing where the other person is without actually seeing where they are, just by feeling the way that they're transferring their weight to you. It's huge.
Right.
But you get these really, really high level wrestlers that, they're insane with going to their back. They're legitimately insane with it. They definitely hinder their ability to develop their jiu-jitsu because of it. And once they get over it, yeah, they're going to be great. But, you get a lot of these good wrestlers that just try to out wrestle people. And
I see a lot of times they're leading with their head. They're a little bit of a bull in a china shop.
That's fine.
And it's just, you know what I mean? The strikers that'll pick them off and but it's time and like you said, an open heart, I guess.
And you're just a willingness to learn. I mean, I the first day that I stepped on the mats to train jiu-jitsu, I wanted to choke somebody.
Yeah.
I didn't want to pin them. I didn't want to control them.
Yeah.
I didn't want to think, hey, I won this position, this round positionally. I wanted to choke them. So it was like that's what my goal was. I was trying to hit the submissions that we learned that day in class. And there are guys that are really good wrestlers that they would rather feel like they won the positional game than go for something or be, allow themselves to be in a position, and it does stunt their development.
Sure.
As a jiu-jitsu guy.
I do appreciate watching your fights and your development, the choices you made makes for a very, very exciting and entertaining fight. So thanks for doing all that. I mean, you put yourself in harm's way, but I've been a fan for a long time, and these guys have too.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Now, Jim, I do have a question for you, though.
Sure.
As I go scrolling through your Instagram account, I notice it seems to me when you're not busy punching people in the face, you're probably in the outdoors somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
You seem to have a pretty good passion for the outdoors. Is that a true statement?
That is a very true statement. Yeah. I'm trying to figure out the Instagram game, man. And I started out on Twitter, and it's like, I just never liked the platform. It just was always silly to me.
Yeah. I feel the same way about that.
Never liked Facebook either, So then it's like, all right, well, I can just post pictures and stuff on Instagram. I was like, I'll give this a shot. And as an athlete, I know that I should probably be approaching my Instagram account a little bit differently, and having more pictures of me training and fighting and all that stuff. But I kind of just use it to show who I am, because I feel like at the same time, while MMA is, fighters were very accessible compared to other professional athletes, just in the nature of it.
Right.
There are a lot of fighters out there that, I don't know, they kind of like shelter themselves a little bit and who they actually are. You don't see who they are. So, yeah, I like the outdoors and I goof around a lot.
Well, having said all of that, I mean, I think the way you're using your Instagram is perfect. Twitter, the way I've always looked at it, it's like that's kind of where I could go and see what famous people are thinking or what they happen to be doing at a particular moment. But an Instagram account, I think you really get a feel for the person. And that's one thing that is, there's no denying it. When we scroll through your pictures and we look at your stuff, I mean, you're living an outdoor lifestyle. Like I said, you're not busy punching people in the face. It's good. Where did your passion for the outdoors, where did that come from?
When I was growing up, we lived up this road, and it's funny because I just drove by there with my kids, not very far away from where we live now, but I hadn't been up there in a while. It seemed a lot bigger. the property seemed a lot bigger when we were kids.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But there's four of us. I have two older brothers and a younger sister, and we were outside pretty much every day. If we had the opportunity to go outside, and run around, climb trees, do things that a tiny minority of children get to do these days.
Yeah.
I mean, we were doing it. We were swinging from vines and, and making wooden swords and fighting off, the ninjas and stuff. And just, we wanted to go further. We always just wanted to go further.
Just out exploring. Yeah.
Yeah. And my dad grew up running bird dogs and beagles. He did field trials as a kid. When he had us, he works friggin' 6 days a week. And if there was any time off of work for him, he was coaching one of us in football or wrestling or baseball. And he didn't really have that much time to be hunting. And, he'd go after work and, didn't have the opportunity to pick us up, bring us along and stuff like that. So, so we really didn't get to go hunting, as young kids. My brothers and I made the decision to get our hunting licenses when we were in our teens. I think I was 13 or 14. And like I said, we'd heard all the stories from my dad and my grandfather, and
I have to assume, I mean, you know, you got some of that work ethic obviously from your dad, and you saw that you saw how busy he was between work and coaching all you guys and keeping all the kids happy and keeping things rolling. But if he had an opportunity, you were watching him escape into the outdoors. So you had to know there was something there, and that's probably where the curiosity came from. And then it's pretty cool. You guys were able to take it upon yourselves to search it out and see, hey, what's all this stuff that's Dad's always into? Let's go check it out. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, we were raised around it. We were raised like in it, but just not quite in it. You know, it was. He wanted us to do it on our own. That was kind of his thing, because one of his family friends, guy had some money, had a hunting property, all this stuff, hunted with my grandfather and my dad. Really pushed it upon his sons, and they didn't want to do it. So my dad, he wanted us
to want it.
He wanted us to want it ourselves and to do it ourselves, to kind of like to want to be there, not to be forced to, you know, go freeze your ass off in the woods.
There is something to be said about wanting to be there. It is a different it's a different thing.
Yeah. So is that when you first picked up a bow? When you were 13, Jim?
No. We actually, my brothers and I did some bowyering, some bow making as kids. You know, we took some sticks and bent them and tied some mason line and stole all we stole all of his wooden arrows, and you'd have to make a new bow every week during the summer. We weren't shaping them or anything or tillering them or anything like that. Right. We were just bending a stick in half. And, I mean, we did it all summer for years. That's what we would do. And then we would just go stump shooting. And
how long did it take you stump shooting before you were able, you know, to actually start harvesting deer?
We didn't harvest anything until we got our licenses. But, you know, shooting those little things, I mean, they were pulling at 10 pounds. So, you know, it's funny because you remember back and it's like, you know, we weren't that bad.
Yeah.
Like I remember being able to be, you know, a couple of yards away and hit a friggin' stump with a silly little stick. And
well, I mean,
you know,
I'm just going to throw this out there. The properties seemed a lot bigger when you were younger. You remember it being bigger, but your groups seemed a lot smaller. You remember your groups being smaller. So I'm just saying.
We established that you like bow hunting. Is that your preference?
Yeah, I do prefer it because I'm a glutton for punishment. You know, I mean,
makes sense.
I've made 2 longbows as well, and I had the opportunity to shoot a pig with the one, and that was cool. It was still was still pretty neat to be able to make it
with something that you made. That's impressive.
You know, and I have this obsession with that type of stuff. Like, okay, it's like I want to make a self bow, and I want to make the arrows, and I want to do all this stuff, and it's like, well, I'm not going to shoot anything. But at the same time, I struggle with it because I want it to be difficult, and I want it to be, you know, kind of that romanticized, you know, like times of old. My goal is also to feed my family on game meat, you know, and you know, it's kind of what I was telling my wife the other day. I was like, I want beef to be like venison and venison to be like beef for us, you know, and it's a lot rarer for us to, you know, to go to the store and buy friggin' beef steaks or, you know, a London broiler or something like that. Like I like to hunt from the ground. I prefer it. I mean, I do hunt from stand more now, but I'm also successful more now. So, but there's just nothing. I don't know.
If you're on the ground, eye to eye, there's something.
Being on the ground, yeah, man. It's like, and I've had a lot of close calls, and I've had, you know, I've been standing practically over top of deer on these little ledges and shit, you know, that I'd sneak around, and just being there is awesome. Mm-hmm. Just being in that moment and having the ability to do that and having the opportunity to do that is awesome. So it's like, there's what I want on one side, which is to do it with primitive tools and from the ground. And then there's also, on the other hand, what I really want, and that's to eat the damn things.
Full freezer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to balance that out.
Yeah, exactly. So I balance it out. I try to balance it out as much as I can. And for me, being able to spend the time with my family, like, we pheasant hunted a lot in the past. Actually I got out like once this year. I lost my bird dog in April. So,
sorry,
I didn't really, it's okay. He was a good boy. He was 11. So, and a really big English pointer. So, I had a good life and had a really good year the year before that. So, it's one of those things, but, it's just the times that I've spent with my brothers and our friends and, and my parents and father and just, a lot of pheasant hunting. I mean, that to me is like, it's different. It's different than being in the whitetail woods. It's different than, I got to go to Colorado this year and chase elk. Wasn't successful, but it was still like, I'm addicted to it.
Was that your first trip out west?
That was my first trip out west. And it was just, it was a, over the counter DIY and just,
oh, wow. That's cool.
Yeah.
Sounds like
you are a glutton for punishment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds like you might not have been able to harvest anything, but it was still a success.
It was, I had a couple close encounters and it was neat. Definitely neat.
Now, Jim, I know you mentioned how much you like to enjoy the wild game. I've noticed on your Instagram you have a couple pretty interesting recipes. What would you say your favorite wild game to eat is?
Venison tenderloins, venison backstraps.
That's your go-to.
Yeah, it's
hard to beat.
It's hard to beat.
It is hard to beat. I haven't had elk that I've shot, so
it always tastes better.
I was gonna say,
exactly.
I could only imagine the elk you
Once
shoot
it's yours.
is better tasting.
Yeah.
Do you have a go-to recipe you like to use for the backstraps?
No, not really. I made
the French cut.
The French cut.
The tomahawk. The tomahawk.
Tomahawks. Yeah, and that day that we did those, we were cooking over open fire all day, and I post all this stuff, throw it out into the public, and people are like, "Oh, you look like you're a good cook," and all that stuff. I'm the worst cook in my family. I'm seriously,
awesome.
Seriously. I'm the worst cook in my family. Like my brothers and my sister are really good cooks, and both of my parents. That was one of those meals where it was like, it was all over the place. There was no menu. It was basically like, hey, just cook something that you want to cook over a fire. So we all just picked random things. So there was like no side dishes. It was all main courses, but it was just like
entree with the side of entree.
That sounds awesome.
It was awesome. And it was just, it was so like,
it's hard to do au gratin potatoes over the open fire.
Yeah. But it was so good. Everything was so good. And
that's new to us. And I don't know. It just looks so fancy. And
it looks like a rack of lamb.
None of us grew up that way. And but we're able to pull that off. Oh my gosh.
Like that's the thing you mentioned, like the rack of lamb. And it's like, and not growing up that way. I remember lamb as a kid. It's like my grandmother used to make it for Easter. And it was always like, lamb, and it's like, right. It was, she meant well. And she was, she was an amazing lady. And you went to her house and she fed you, little Sicilian lady. And I never liked lamb as a kid. And then it's like, I had it and I was like, holy shit, this is pretty good. And it's like, then I made it a couple times. I'm like, this might be my favorite freaking thing in the world. Like have a good lamb chop, like a rare. Oh, now I'm getting hungry.
I don't think I've ever had lamb.
Oh, lamb's delicious.
Oh, Leanne just made some.
Yeah,
it's surprisingly delicious.
Maybe in a gyro.
I was gonna say you haven't had a gyro.
Yeah, I've had one of those.
And what?
I don't know. It doesn't look like the same lamb that Jim's eating. What feels better, choking someone out? or taking a deer?
They're different.
Fireman's carrying a dude, or fireman's carrying a deer.
It's different. It's listen. There are a lot of fighters that when they ask this question or something like that, they make references to sex, and they're like, oh, the feeling I get in the cage is better than Like, listen, it's different. There's just, you don't want to compare, It's like apples to oranges, right? Just apples to oranges.
It's a good answer.
Fair enough.
I think you answered that enough. Just kidding.
Being successful in the woods is awesome, and there's a level of satisfaction that I get.
Yeah.
But I'm not the guy in the tree stand like, woo, yeah, like screaming. Where in the cage, that's how it comes out. Like my heart doesn't beat as fast in the octagon or even after a win as much as it does when I have even a freaking doe that's staring at me, and I'm trying to like I said, there is just a difference, like there's similar, like, this is a kind of like that friggin' prehistoric feeling that you get in each one, but
you get that sewing machine leg going a little bit.
You can't manufacture. We said it time and time again. You can't manufacture that feeling. There's nothing like it. We do a horrible job at describing it, and but
there's no other adrenaline like it.
I've actually been trying to explain to Stevie that getting a stare down from a doe is way worse than like 150-pound beast on the other side of the octagon staring at you. I'm like, those doe are worse, Stevie.
Oh yeah, man.
You don't want this.
You don't want this.
I ran into a couple this last week, man, that were just they were
bullies.
They were they were. They were.
So has all this training, being at the top physical condition that you are all the time, do you think that gives you an extra edge hunting? Can you go stay out longer, climb higher,
rear naked choke
whatever?
Deer?
Yeah.
I'm not in shape all the time, like I used to be.
His not in shape.
I don't even want to hear it.
Compared to our in shape.
We'll edit that out, Jim. Don't worry.
Let's go. I'll say that I'm not in what I consider fight shape. Yes, granted. Now, like I said, I'm just as susceptible to buck fever as anybody else. There are times where I think that having physical fitness it's just an awesome thing to have, and it doesn't matter if it's hunting or anything. Just in life, it's a tool that I think that we should all strive to even just a little bit make a little bit better here. like it's a tool that on any given day could save your life or help you get a deer or whatever. I mean, in Colorado, I did like 60 plus miles in 8 days, and there's no way I would have been able to do that if like I was coming right off of a fight camp. So that was awesome. It took me like 2 days to get used to the elevation, and and then I started pushing it, and I probably could have pushed it a little bit harder. But
when you put it that way, that your physical fitness is a tool, maybe that's the catalyst I need to work on myself a little bit, because I'll upgrade gear, I'll sharpen my knives every hunt. I'm refletching arrows or reloading
get a little
bullets.
bit lighter.
But should I get a lighter tree stand?
One of those
or
tools
should I just lose
20
pounds?
I might want to consider working on is me. Yeah.
Fitness is definitely becoming more prevalent in the industry.
That's for sure.
The hunting. And it's like to an extreme, I think. Some of the guys are like, okay, all right, pal, put your shirt on.
We know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but like
I will.
I mean,
were you looking at my Instagram?
Yeah. Here's the thing. John Dudley is a friend of mine. I've hunted with him a couple times. I actually met him because I used his videos to set up my bow and my wife's bow, and then when I was walking into the cage at UFC 200, I saw the big freak standing out, behind Joe Rogan, and I was like, I can know that guy. So like I yelled to him afterwards, and one thing led to another, and here we are friggin' going on a hog hunt
in Pennsylvania.
No,
I'm just kidding.
In Oklahoma, but
it's like taking Jim Shockey squirrel hunting.
Yeah. Like the dude. What he does with the bow is it's unbelievable. But it's also because he's pulling the same amount of weight as I am, and he's freaking huge.
Yeah.
It's like it would be like me shooting a 40-pound bow, him shooting that 70-pound bow. And it's like, man, like maybe I'm doing about this all wrong. Like maybe because like you look at how steady he is, and it's just because he's got the muscle to handle it. And like, okay, well, you might have to be on draw for this amount of time, and that sucks for anybody. But like, if your bow is easier to pull, if you're, it's going to be easier to stay at full draw. I don't know.
Or even get to full draw. That's working in the bow shops. That's something I always told people. If you can't come to full draw from a seated position over your opposite shoulder, then you're pulling too much weight because that's where the deer are coming from.
Yeah, every time. So if having said all this, what if you had to change the course of your life and just you only had hunting as your major hobby, and how would you train? Would it be an endurance or strength training? Would it be a little combination of both? What do you think's important there?
I'm a big advocate of lift heavy and sprint. And if you look at Usain Bolt, or you look at the world record holder for the marathon, it's like I'd rather look like Usain Bolt.
Yeah.
Like
gotcha.
Pushing your body, and obviously, like, I mean, what I have to do, like, I have to do it. I have to try to go as far as I can go in 6 to 8 weeks. Lifting heavy things is good for you. You live longer. You really live. The more muscle mass that you can carry later in life, the better you're going to be. Sprinting is good for you because it activates muscles. It activates your glutes, which you don't activate when you're jogging. And people like struggle to develop that part of their body. And it's like, hey, run on the ball, balls of your feet, like sprint, run as hard as you can.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's, I could go deeper into this because I have a firm belief that a majority of people, even people that fight, don't know what it's like to actually sprint. When you say, oh yeah, I did a sprint workout for 45 minutes. It's like, no, you didn't do a sprint workout. You did a running workout. Like if you did a sprint workout, you're going to be in a pile drooling all over yourself in 5 minutes because that's what a sprint is.
New guys puking in the corner.
Exactly. Pick things up and put them down, and then run as fast as you can a couple times.
Jim, how long's a sprint? We talking like 20 yards, 50 yards, 100 yards, quarter mile? Like what do you do?
Well, if Usain Bolt could do what he does, he would run like a friggin' 2-minute mile. A sprint is 100 meters, 200 meters. Like once you get to 400 meters, once you get a full lap around that track, you're going a quarter mile. You're not sprinting anymore. You can't.
Once I make that first turn, I'm not sprinting anymore.
That's when Steve gives up.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
This is like,
the guy running next to you.
No, in all honesty, yeah, and then choke him out.
That's right, because that's a tool too.
I love it. This is eye opening. Literally, to me, working out in my head and how I grew up, training for different things. It's hours and hours in the gym and this and that, and you're flipping the script right now. You're saying, blow yourself out, pick up as much as you can, run as fast as you can. That doesn't take long to.
No, I mean that's the thing too. Is like, I mean, like when I'm lifting for strength. So it is, like giving yourself more time. If you're lifting to be cut up and stuff like that, you kind of want to push the pace a little bit more. But the only reason that I've ever done any friggin' cardio, as we call it, like running 3 miles, running 5 miles, is to take size off. Like that's the only reason I did it. my weight cuts started getting harder. So I added some cardio, and I was running for 45 minutes to an hour a couple times a week. Ooh. And that's the only reason that I did it, not to increase my performance inside the cage. The beauty of it is you go and you push yourself hard once or twice a week. You're blowing it out. Get, going as hard as you can for a few minutes. You're still going to improve your cardio. You're still going to strengthen your heart. You're still going to increase its ability to pump oxygenated blood throughout your body. And you're going to be able to go longer.
Yeah. Yeah, that effect lasts a lot longer than we think.
Yeah.
You have to recover from that.
We got into this idea that the ability to just trot, and run in a bad way where you're landing on your heel is a good thing, and it's the only way to increase cardio. But it's not. I mean, like, pretend that friggin' saber-toothed tiger's trying to get you. I mean, that's what it is. What's going to happen? You're going to friggin' lean forward. Your heel's not going to touch the ground. You look at any other animal, your heel doesn't touch the ground. The heel's halfway up their leg, for crying out loud. I'm big on that. Lift heavy and sprint.
We do notice that you do, some cold therapies, cryotherapies. Are you big on that, or is that just like out of necessity? You're blowing out.
It's it's hit or miss for me. Like the cryotherapy, I found works really well for like bruising, but that's really never been an issue of mine. I tried it for a little bit. I made a cold tub out of a big ass garbage can,
Nice.
And it sucks. I felt good from doing it, and then I've also didn't notice anything here and there, and the reason that I started it all is because I felt like such garbage, but that ended up really being Lyme disease. So
wow, yeah, it takes a lot out of you. That's a nasty, nasty disease. I don't know, being with a low body fat, do you get cold? Does that wear on you whenever you're hunting and fishing?
Not really. My problem is that I sweat really easily. So I've learned what to do, and that's one of the reasons why I like hunting on the ground, because it's a little bit easier to keep moving, and and still hunting. It's a lot harder to get cold while you're doing it.
Right. Makes sense.
My feet, man, they sweat so much that it's hard to keep up with it. And, it's like I wear rubber boots. Next thing you know, I'm standing in puddles, inside my boots. So, but I'm usually pretty good with it. I don't get cold too easily. I don't think any easier than anybody else.
Sounds like your metabolism is, paying dividends in the woods.
It's definitely slowed down over the last 5 years or so, but I can't really say. I mean, I've had a lot of cold days out in the woods. I sure should have frozen feet and stuff like that. But
that's one of the biggest. Yeah, totally, one of the biggest obstacles.
Yeah.
So, Jim, one thing we do at the end of each show is something we call the Fast Five, which is 5 questions. There are no wrong answers.
Is it that time?
It's that time. 5 questions, no wrong answers, and just blurt out the first answer that comes to mind. It's going to be correct.
You'll get 100% on this one.
Yeah, you absolutely will. So, question number 1: what is one thing you can't live without in the outdoors?
My knife.
Oh, that's a new one.
Yeah, I've always been a knife guy. It's just something that if I have to travel somewhere and I just carry on and I don't get to bring my knife, I feel so naked.
Yeah.
Every time I go to, even when I go to other countries, I'm like smuggling in my little fixed blade and stuff like that. And it's like, you're writing down the thing, like, do you have any weapons on you? It's like, no, it's not a weapon. It's a tool. Like convincing myself, yeah, it's a tool.
You have a favorite knife, or is it just any knife? You have 1,000.
There's no follow-ups in the Fast Five. What's the matter with you?
Jeez.
Breaking our own rules.
Well, I gave a very long-winded answer to that. So.
No, it's fine. You got that one correct.
Sweet.
A lot of pressure here.
Yeah, it checks off. So number 2, what are you most proud of?
I'd have to say my kids, and it's the little things.
Mm-hmm.
It's the little things I've got 4 young kids, so it's like getting the opportunity to spend time with one of them individually is tough. When I do, and you see them do little things like push their chair in when they get up at the Panera Bread or something like that.
Yeah.
Listen, they're crazy. They're crazy little freaking monsters. But that's when they're locked up behind closed doors most of the time. Sometimes it gets out, but when they have manners and they show that they're being raised to be well-adjusted, polite individuals, that makes me proud.
Almost like little people.
Yeah, almost.
I'm familiar. That's a good one. All right, here's number 3 then. One thing you do daily to prepare for your outdoor lifestyle.
This question almost isn't fair.
No, probably
Jim.
not.
We just had a whole podcast.
Yeah.
I don't even know, honestly.
Pick up heavy things.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, I would say, that the one thing that I do every day is probably just, if I have the opportunity, even if it's an off day, even if it's a non-training day, and it's like, I'm still the type that if I have to move something or.
You probably chase Usain Bolt so that he gets practice with his sprint. I get it.
Man, we're going to go as hard as we can go.
I don't want that guy to catch me.
So next one, what is your bucket list hunt?
Moose. I don't know where, but yeah, I've always wanted to take a moose with a bow.
Awesome.
Last and the hardest question: what makes you happy?
What makes me happy? Just spending time with my family and friends, and sharing things with them. That's why I do a lot of things that I do. It's one of the reasons why I like hunting. It's because I get to share meals, with animals that I harvested with my family and friends, and that's why I brew beer, and all that stuff. And it's just when I have the opportunity to make something and to put myself into something and share with people, it makes me happy.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Cool.
Great reason.
Nice.
It sounds like we all have a lot in common, and we're all kind of cut from the same molds. Thanks for sharing with us, man.
No problem. Thank you for having me on.
My mold must have been blown out. I ain't cut from his mold.
I don't have
There's a lot of
belt.
extra space in it.
Yeah, that's for sure.
We love talking about fighting and hunting. So.
Oh, you mean just okay? I see what you're
that
saying.
mold.
Yeah. All right, so Jim, yes, of course. Thank you so much for your time. Where can people follow you or keep up with what's coming next for you?
On Instagram and Twitter's the same thing, right? Jim Miller _155. I'm on Facebook. Usually, honestly, it's usually just my Instagram posts that get put onto Twitter or Facebook.
Yeah, just share them out from there.
Yeah, so Instagram's the one. And JimMillerMMA.com. Check that puppy out.
Nice.
Awesome.
Hey, thanks so much again for your time, Jim. I know we're going to be keeping an eye on you. And good luck with everything you got coming up, bud. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much. Have a good one, guys.
You too, brother. Thank you.
How about that, Stevie?
Ooh, fighting and hunting.
Hunting and fighting.
Hunting and fighting.
These are a few of our favorite
I could talk
things.
to these guys all day long.
I'm telling you, dude.
Nonstop.
So, Stevie.
Yes, sir.
Question for you.
Yeah, what you got?
When we're not talking to dudes about punching other dudes in the face,
Yeah.
Or sprinting,
picking up heavy things and sprinting after Usain Bolt,
Yeah.
where can they find us?
Hop on over to RuttenRiverPursuits.com. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook, the Twitter. Rutten River Pursuits. Follow our YouTube page, Rutten River Pursuits Podcast. A couple things thrown up over there over the last few days.
Yeah, things have been popping up there recently. I like it.
Check them out.
Make sure you subscribe.
Yeah.
Hit the
you
button
gotta
so you get it all
subscribe.
right
I
away.
thought that was just understood, but man, yeah, subscribe.
You don't want to miss out.
Holy cats, subscribe.
Don't forget the podcast itself. Always available.
Oh yeah,
Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
my favorite.
Absolutely. Hands
Far and
down.
away.
Yeah. If you only have one app on your phone, it should be Spotify.
If you only
Right.
had one jerky to get,
What
What kind would it be?
Moses Family Jerky.
The original.
is that what you like?
Is it?
Oh yeah, that's the good one.
Sweet and spicy.
I'm a pepper guy.
I'm excited for the new snack stick flavors.
You can get all of them over at mfjerky.com.
mfjerky.com.
What if you wanted a good deal?
Use Jerky Pursuits 15 as a coupon code.
How much do you get off with that?
15% your entire order.
The whole
That's
thing.
crazy.
Whole
Whole
website.
order. Yeah. Yeah.
Talk that,
Coffee,
Moses.
All
Check
right.
it out.
Practically giving it away.
Thank you, brothers.
Lovely. Good
Yeah.
stuff, boys.
Another great week.
All right, guys.
See ya.
See ya.
What feels better, choking someone out or taking a deer?
They're different.
Fireman's carrying a dude or fireman's carrying a deer.
It's different. It's listen, there are a lot of fighters that when they ask this question or something like that, they make references to sex.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, the feeling I get in the cage is better than like, listen, it's different. There's just, you don't want to compare, it's like apples to oranges, right? Just apples to oranges.
It's a good answer.
Fair enough.
When I was walking into the cage at UFC 200, I saw the big freak standing out of the, behind Joe Rogan, and I was like, I didn't know that guy. So like, I yelled to him afterwards, and one thing led to another, and here we are, friggin' going on a hog hunt
In Pennsylvania.
No,
I'm just kidding.
in Oklahoma, but
It's like taking Jim Shockey squirrel hunting.
yeah. Over dinner at like Thanksgiving and stuff, I've said it a lot of times, like, I can't wait until we fight because I'm going to make you have our mother in your corner. I want my mom to be coaching my brother to beat me so that I can be like, yeah, well, your mom's a fat pig. and just give my own mom shit just for the fun of it.
That's